Very good.
Very good.
So, last night, Max and I watched 1985's Explorers. Now we're going to talk about it. Now, Explorers is a
1985.
I knew that. Explorers is a 1985 science fiction fantasy film. It was written by Eric Luke and directed by Joe Dante, who also directed The Howling and Gremlins. Didn't know that, did you? It is both Ethan Hawke and River Pheonix's first film, and it is a story of three kids who kind of build a spaceship based on some dreams they're having. This movie's great, and it's really slept on. Did you like it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
That should be enough to find out what it does, if it does anything at all.
When it came out, it didn't do so hot at the box office, but I mean, I think it was because of bad advertising. But me personally, I didn't even see it until years later when I was just flipping around on cable. A lot of people say it was because it was released the same weekend as the big concert Live Aid, and that's one of the reasons why people didn't go to see it. But it also came out 9 days after Back to the Future, and that's something that a lot of people don't really realize is still 9 days after one of the greatest movies to come out of that era. So, you know, these types of movies were hot at that time, so they were getting the green light left and right. After the success of E.T. and other movies like that, you know, they wanted more, you know, science fiction type fantasy films for the studios, for sure. In fact, this movie kind of wasn't even finished. When Joe Dante had submitted it to the studios, they had said that this is good enough. You can just finish up editing and post-production now, and they wanted to speed it up for a July release, which ended up being a huge mistake. You know, once again, another example of how when the studios step in and interfere with something artistically, they end up paying the price.
Kids all over the world, they only understand one thing.
Regardless of all of that, this movie became a huge cult classic, and you can understand why. It's such a great film for a kid. It's like, you know, an awesome fantasy. The idea of you and your friends building a spaceship and going and flying up and meeting aliens. That's awesome, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah? Would you do that with your buddies? Would you build a spaceship and go fly up and meet some aliens?
Maybe.
Maybe. As long as they're friendly.
Remember this one? Oh, horses, of course, I know I can talk to a horse, of course, that is, of course, unless the horse is the famous Mr. Ed.
This movie had a pretty big budget based on, that they outsourced Industrial Light and Magic to do the special effects. They had to build a special type of computer to actually do the sphere effects for them to work in real time with the mouse and actors being able to act with it. As I said before, this movie was directed by the same director who did Gremlins and The Howling, and there is actually a reference to both movies. When the helicopter pilot looks at the newspaper, the headline says, "Kingston Falls Riot Still Unexplained." And if you don't know, Kingston Falls is the town in which Gremlins takes place. And on that same newspaper, there's a nod to another Dante film, The Howling, a headline that references a fire at the colony is suspected arson. As the boys are looking through the junkyard, they come across the Rosebud sled from the movie Citizen Kane. Another cool Easter egg is the high school that the boys attend is Charles M. Jones Junior High School, which is a nod to legendary animator Chuck Jones. The sound effects from the cheesy movie at the drive-in were all taken from the old Atari video game Yar's Revenge. Now, another cool reference, one of the movies that Ben watches in the movie is This Island Earth, in which the main character develops a device that he uses to make contact with aliens. Okay, another cool reference, when the boys are flying in the spaceship and they fly down to look at the movie that's on the drive-in screen, the name of the main character in that movie is named Starkiller, which was actually the original name that George Lucas had intended for Luke Skywalker. He originally was supposed to be called Luke Starkiller. And then at the very last minute, he changed it to Luke Skywalker. Could you imagine if his name was Luke Starkiller? That would be strange, huh?
He would kill stars.
Also, there are numerous references to Looney Tunes throughout the movie. When the boys first invent the sphere, it goes crashing through a wall that suspiciously leaves a mark that looks like Bugs Bunny, as well as the first words to come out of the main alien when they first meet him.
He's about to say something.
What's up, Dad?
What's up, Doc Hudson?
Also, inside Wolfgang's basement, you can also find the toy monkey from Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
That should be enough to find out what it does, if it does anything at all, which it...
Now, during the children's flight over the circuit board, it's intended to kind of mimic and look like scenes from the movie Peter Pan. Actor Dick Miller, who played the co-pilot in the helicopter, is also in Gremlins.
I'm a gaming.
Yeah, Wolfgang's talking rat was named Heinlein, which is a reference to Robert A. Heinlein, who wrote a ton of books. A lot of them had stories about young kids developing technology or space travel and making contact with aliens. Oh yeah, one of the comic books seen on Ben's desk was the official Marvel Universe Handbook. Remember that? So actor Robert Picardo had dual roles. He played the alien as well as Starkiller in the cheesy sci-fi movie. The sci-fi movie, interestingly enough, is a parody of a parody. It was actually meant to parody these old cheesy Italian movies that were straight rip-offs of Star Wars that came out in the 70s.
There's an Italian ripoff of Star Wars?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's called Star Wars! Revenge of the Linguine with Boba Fettuccine.
He's no good to me dead.
Now this movie's great. It's definitely another childhood classic. I'm glad that he got to watch it once again. It's unfortunate that it got slept on. It is unfinished. That even the director had said that the movie itself, was rushed in post-production, and that's why even the development of the aliens at the end were really cartoony and kind of like, it almost feels like the movie takes a completely different turn once they meet the aliens, and I think a lot of that had to do with the studios rushing them, of course. However, it still became a cult classic. When I found it, I was maybe a couple years older than him.
Hey guys, where you been? Looking for you.
When I found the movie, I loved it. And I think that probably was because I had no expectations of it. I could see this movie being released not too long after E.T. and movies like that, and especially 9 days after Back to the Future.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it got kind of slept on. The spaceship that they build it out of junk parts and carnival ride parts, and they're able to encompass it inside this sphere that they're able to build based on the technology given to them through dreams. Now, there's a crazy concept for a movie even back then, and I think that's what made it cool. Was like it was almost something where these kids stumble upon this sort of, and they develop and they get creative and they build their spaceship, and they name their spaceship Thunder Road. after a Bruce Springsteen song with the same name.
I christen thee the Thunder Road.
Thunder Road, Thunder Road, Thunder Road.
All in all, you know, it isn't the most amazing, over-the-top science fiction fantasy film, you know, of all time or anything like that. But it's a fun film, and it's a fun film for a kid, especially around his age, to watch. Okay, so I'm glad we got to watch it together. Did you enjoy it?
Yes.
Yes? All right. Explorers, 1985, directed by Joe Dante, who also did The Howling and Gremlins, among a bunch of other stuff. Anyhow, let's start the vlog.
Okay, so Max and I are out running errands. And Max looks like a pirate right now because you need to drink a soda.
I'm soda.
Soda pirate. Me and Max are here in the back little back spot in the backpack. We're just riding around, chilling out, trying to find a little spot to escape the chaos of the world.
For some reason, this looks like a head popping out of it.
Dun, 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 dun. So Max and I have been riding around, kicking the town. That was fun. How about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you getting tired?
Yeah.
Ready to go home? Ready to call it? All right, we're gonna call it. You know, we're just trying to, you know, blow off a little steam and burn some energy. Get out, and you know, having an 8-year-old, you know, we're trying to teach an 8-year-old about all the crazy stuff that's kind of going on right now. Is you know, trying to teach him without, you know, spoiling a child's innocence too much is difficult on its own, but then I also realize that there's some parents that don't even have that luxury, so I guess it's important to teach him, you know, about everything that's going on, the importance of, sit up here, bud, and because we know that police brutality and racism and all that stuff is a bad thing, huh?
Yep.
Yeah. And
Even
so,
in cartoons.
yeah. So, you know, it's hard. You know, we're trying our best to kind of show him and be good and fair. And I think that's most people in the world. I think most people in the world, they just want good. They just want to be good. They just want to, you know, they want good for everybody. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want good for anybody? That's crazy to me. You know, can you imagine if everybody did good and everybody was eating and everybody was happy?
Yes.
You know, that'd be an awesome place. Everybody should have that opportunity, no matter what they look like, no matter, you know, what, you know, they believe in or whatever, you know. It's very, very, very important. What are you making?
Trying to build something.
You're trying to build something?
Yeah.
With a stick?
Yeah.
What are you, MacGyver? You got dirt on your back.
From what?
I don't know. Did you lay down on the ground or something? Look at this line for this Jamba Juice. It's so crazy. I swear. Buy a blender.
Dude, buy a blender.
I swear, buy a blender. I'm waiting a 2-hour line for a smoothie. Okay.
Just can't do that.
You just can't do that, but you know what? Jamba Juice is successful for a reason, you know? People like their smoothies.
Jamba Juice. They're like, oh, I want Jamba Juice.
Okay, so anyhow, we're gonna call it. Max and I signing off here. Thank you for watching. If you're new here, please click like, share, subscribe, and all that stuff. And we will catch you on the flip.
Flippy flip.
Yeah.